Hey guys, Scott here. We're talking NFL football. Week 6 is on the horizon, and we're going to talk about some of the things that happened in Week 5. Let's go. Week 5, we had some great games. Again, turnovers seem to be the issue. They affected lots of games. The Jets game, the Patriots and Bills game, the Giants game, all were affected by turnovers. We had some great games. Carolina coming back to beat the Dolphins 27-24. Rico Dowdell went crazy, ran over 200 yards, seems to be the number one running back in Carolina at the moment. Jackson Dart, game 2 for him in New Orleans, was filled with turnovers, some by him, some by his running backs, some by his wide receivers. They led to their loss in that game. Spencer Rattler finally gets a win as an NFL quarterback. Congrats to Spencer. The Tennessee Titans get their first win over the Arizona Cardinals. A terrible loss for Arizona. That's a tough one to swallow. And Kyler Murray comes up with an injury. We have to keep an eye on that for next week. Marvin Harrison had a crazy catch in that game, which was unbelievable. Hopefully he can keep that going. But if Kyler Murray's not around this week, maybe not so much. Cam Ward, congrats to you and the Titans on your first win. A week after describing his team's play as ass, they didn't play like ass, and they came back and won a tight game. It was very exciting, but again, a really tough loss for Arizona, especially if Kyler Murray can't go this week. The Ravens, folks, the Ravens are in trouble. No Lamar Jackson. Half of their defense is on the disabled list or couldn't play last week, and their defense looked really bad. The Texans had a great game. I'm finding it hard to judge the game, though, because the Ravens are playing so poorly, but good for them. They stomped the Ravens 44-10. I don't really recognize the Ravens at this point. Their defense is their brand. They've been, for years, going back to the Ray Lewis days, you could always depend on the Ravens defense, but wow, that was quite a shocking outcome last week. So looking forward, it doesn't look like Lamar Jackson's going to play this week. He's still not practicing. And if he doesn't play, they're in big trouble. They did pick up C.J. Gardner-Johnson. They put him on the practice squad. I'm sure he'll be elevated to play to help their secondary, which has been decimated. It just looks bad. They were throwing the ball all over the field. Not sure why when you've got Derrick Henry there. Give Derrick Henry the ball, get a better balance, get back to what you do, smash mouth football, run the ball, play good defense. I don't know. The Ravens, who were one of the teams I was thinking is going to be a Super Bowl contender, right now that looks like a dream. I don't see the Ravens, especially if Lamar Jackson is out for an extended period of time. I don't see them coming back from this. This is a really tough start for them. For the Texans, hey, C.J. Stroud, great game for you. Nick Chubb had a solid game when it looked like Woody Marks was pushing him out of the RB1 conversation. Maybe not so fast there, and it seems like be back to more of a shared backfield at the moment. And Joe Mixon is still out there and may recover, and when he comes back, if he comes back, there might be some more cloudy backfield situation going on in Houston. But turnovers were the theme, like I said. The Jets game was affected. The Giants game was affected. The Pats-Bills game was affected. Josh Allen, interceptions, turnovers. I have to apologize to the Patriots because as my team, I was a little doubtful that they could pull off a win in Buffalo. Being in Buffalo so early in the season with so many new players and a new offensive coordinator for Drake May, the coaches staff, they're experienced, but the players are young. And I got to say, I was shocked and happily surprised to end my Sunday night with that last-minute field goal by the Patriots, who their kicker has been having some trouble in the early season. So anytime he goes back there to kick, I'm holding my breath, but he made it. They won the game. Stefon Diggs had his revenge game. He clearly was up for this game. He had the best game he's probably had in 2 or 3 years. The first 3 weeks of the season, I was wondering where he was. He's still probably getting into shape, recovering from his knee injury. Last week, he had a good game. You think maybe that's just a one-off, but now he followed it up with this game in Buffalo. He and Drake May are definitely getting a good connection going. The chemistry between them seems to be growing, and Josh McDaniels seems to be realizing that and calling these plays. So congrats to Drake May. That was a huge game in his young career to be on a national game at that level, to play that well against the defending MVP and one of the favorites to probably go to the Super Bowl, the Buffalo Bills, who have been playing well. Although the Bills did struggle to beat the Saints last week, who, as we already discussed, got their first win over the Giants. So maybe that was something to pay attention to. I didn't really focus on that. I did realize that I was surprised where in week 4 that the Bills just barely beat the Saints. So the Saints definitely are starting to figure it out. So the Bills now 2 weeks in a row having games underperforming to the level that they're expected to be if they're going to be AFC champions, if that's what they want. I'm happy that didn't happen. I'm happy the Patriots won that game. Don't get me wrong. The Patriots being 3-2. Now you've got my attention. I've been holding my breath, waiting to see how this Mike Vrabel coaching staff gets this team going. They seem to be buying in. A win like that, that's going to be a huge confidence builder going forward. I'm hoping they can follow through and put up a win this week. But Drake May, I have to say, he played really well last year in his rookie season. He was running for his life most of the time, but he did put up a lot of yards. So I wasn't sure about how good he actually was because the team around him wasn't that good last year. So now we've got a team around him. Stefon Diggs is now the number 1 receiver and seems to be playing himself into shape and looking to do more. I still think we need a good second receiver. Booty's been doing well, but let's see how this keeps going. Let's get the tight ends more involved. Hunter Henry wasn't really much of a factor. The running back situation in New England is a mess. Like from a fantasy football perspective, if you're going to have a Patriot running back, I wouldn't put him as a starting running back. I'd put him as a flex, if at all. The 3-headed monster back there, that kind of cleared up a little bit because Gibson tore his ACL and is going to be out for the season. I knew something was wrong watching that game because you saw his face walking off the field. It looked like, oh boy, this is a season-ending injury. And sure enough, another torn ACL. So it's now Henderson and Stevenson. We'll see how that shakes out. Their carries are going to pick up now since Gibson is not around to return kicks and carry the ball. It still seems to be running back by committee there. I would like to see one of them take the reins of the backfield and become the bell cow running back, the guy who they just give the ball to most of the time. Maybe Stevenson now can be the early down back and Henderson can be like the third down back since he's a little better receiver, in my opinion, than Stevenson. But Stevenson seems to be getting the ball at the goal line. So if you have Henderson on your fantasy team, touchdowns are going to be rare unless he catches a pass or breaks one from far out and runs it in, because Stevenson seems to be squarely the running back at goal line situations. So happy for the Patriots win. Excited about the prospects of next week. Beating the Bills, that's huge. Maybe something can happen this year. I don't want to say it out loud because I don't want to jinx it, but I'm excited the way the Patriots played last week. Cleveland and Minnesota in the London game. We talked about it in the last episode as I was recording as the game was going on. Dylan Gabriel, the offense definitely looked well. They had, as I said, the run-pass option was going to be a factor for them. The offense looked a little more dynamic. The tight ends were involved. Njoku and Fannin both had touchdowns. The running back Judkins, he had a solid game. He fell off a little from the week before, but that's to be expected because they're figuring out Gabriel and he's a little bit more of a passer. As I said, the experience that Dylan Gabriel had coming out of college playing 63 games definitely carried over. The kid can play. His dad's not a Hall of Fame cornerback like Shedeur Sanders, but Dylan Gabriel played in a lot of big games against big competition for 4 years. I believe the competition in college does matter. And when you play at the level of Oregon and Oklahoma as he played at, I mean, it does matter because they're playing against teams that are stacked with potential NFL players, where some of the other Division I schools, they're good players, but these guys aren't making the NFL. Let's just be honest. So I knew Dylan Gabriel would be fine. He seems to be fine. So did the Browns because they traded Joe Flacco to the Bengals. Jake Browning last week was a mess, throwing interceptions all over the field. Jamar Chase had more tackles than Trey Hendrickson. Look it up. It's true. The reason Jamar Chase had all those tackles is because of all the interceptions Jake Browning was throwing. Even though at the end of that game, they got some touchdowns. Higgins and Chase had 2 touchdowns. So from a fantasy perspective, you were happy. These guys put up some points. But the Bengals, who started 2-0, winning tight games, even with Joe Burrow. But since Joe Burrow's out, they have now lost 3 straight. They traded for Joe Flacco. The ironic thing is, Joe Flacco has thrown more interceptions this year than Jake Browning has thrown. So it's not really better, but Joe Flacco can get the ball down the field. I think if you have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and any of their tight ends for the Bengals in your fantasy team, I think having Flacco, who was announced he's going to start this week, I feel he will get them the ball better than Jake Browning was able to. I mean, when the guy's played in the league as long as he has, he's not going to run around and scramble like some of these younger quarterbacks. He's a pocket passer, but he's going to get the ball to these guys. He's going to get it out of his hand quickly. He's going to make his decisions quickly. I think that's what they're looking for. And it's clear that the amount of money that the Bengals put into all their players this offseason with their contracts, they are not looking to not make the playoffs. They're all in. They want to hold down the fort till Joe Burrow can get back in December, late December, hopefully. And they want to be, with the Ravens struggling the way they are and the Steelers really being the only team that seems to be pulling ahead with their 3-1 record, I feel like the Bengals feel like they still have a chance at 2-3. So that's why they made this move for Joe Flacco. I don't blame them. Again, I think from a fantasy perspective, if you're playing fantasy football, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins are going to be the beneficiaries of this. And also, I think Chase Brown will start to see more room. They won't be stacking the line against him because they're going to have to honor the downfield throws that Joe Flacco can make that Jake Browning couldn't. And Chase Brown might start to break loose and they can get a little better balance of a run-pass situation. We'll see. The Bengals defense is struggling right now, especially the past few weeks. So we'll see. I mean, they can't be on the field the whole time. The offense has got to let the defense stay off the field and have some long drives and put some points on the board and get a lead instead of having to come play from behind like they have recently. So we'll see how that goes. Last week, the game of the week for me was the Bucs and the Seahawks, the 38-35. Again, another down to the wire. I feel like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are must-see TV each week. Every game this year has come down to the final drive, and they've either won or lost in the last second. So, Baker Mayfield, in Tampa Bay, they're like the cardiac kids. I mean, you got to watch them each week unless you have a heart condition. You probably shouldn't watch them then and maybe just read about it the next day. Emeka Egbuka, right now, rookie of the year, hands down. If the season was to end today, he's the rookie of the year. They're not missing Mike Evans at the moment. Mike Evans, take your time, heal your hamstring. Ibuka's got it. And they got Godwin back. It would be nice to see them starting to get him a little more involved, but I am a little worried about his production at the moment. And again, he hasn't played. He missed training camp, so it's going to take him a couple weeks to play in the shape. Let's just keep an eye on that situation. And if you did see the Buccaneers game, how good is watching a Kevin Harlan football game? Kevin Harlan announces those games with such excitement. I mean, it's like he just gets so excited. It just makes you excited watching the game. I love hearing the voices and the screaming and the surprise at the big plays and the scores. It's just so much fun. I mean, Kevin Harlan and Gus Johnson are the two announcers that I want to watch in a tight game because their enthusiasm of a call was amazing. And Kevin Harlan did a great job with that game. It was so exciting. And a huge week for Ohio State wide receivers. I mean, Egbuka was a star, and Jackson Smith and Jigba went crazy. It was like watching a Madden game with all these big plays and passes, and it was a lot of fun. If you didn't see it, go back and watch it. It was a great game. Another thing I wanted to talk about, I'm going to call this section, What the Bleep? What the Bleep? Why is it that for 2 weeks in a row now, we've had another player drop the ball as they're on their way to score before they get into the end zone? It is a fumble. What is it that you cannot carry the ball into the end zone, make sure your 2 feet are in the end zone, and then drop the ball? What is the thing that a yard away, 2 yards away, that you keep dropping the ball? Emari Demercado dropped the ball as he was going in. He just flips it away. It's clearly a fumble. It's clearly not a touchdown. It cost them the game. It's the same thing that happened last week. The Colts lost to the Rams. Adonai Mitchell fumbled the ball as he was shifting the ball from his hand to get ready to celebrate, it looked like, and he fell out of the end zone. They don't get the touchdown last week. They lose the game. And now in week 5, here we go again. The Cardinals lose the game because Emari Demercado, same thing, dropped the ball. I just don't get it. The Colts, talking about the Colts for a second, the Colts should know better. Jonathan Taylor had the same thing happen last year where he was scored a touchdown and they lost it because he flipped the ball out of hand. Jonathan Taylor, who's used to scoring touchdowns, should do that. Why does this keep happening? This is the kind of thing that you learn in Pee Wee football. You hold the ball until you get in the end zone. You hold the ball with both hands. I feel like these players need to go look up like old videos of Walter Payton or Emmitt Smith scoring touchdowns. These guys would carry the ball in the end zone all the way through and then hand the ball off to the referee. Originally, the reason it's called a touchdown, the original thing you had to do when you scored a touchdown is you'd have to cross into the goal line and you'd have to take the ball and touch it down onto the field to be counted as a score. That's a little crazy and it's good. I'm glad they don't do that anymore, but get both of your feet across the goal line. Take 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 20 steps into the end zone. Run to the goalpost, something. Don't just flip the ball. I get you just ran 50 yards or whatever and you're excited and it's like, oh, I'm so excited. I just dropped the ball. But why? Why is this not something you learned? You should have learned this when you were a little kid playing football. You should have learned this in high school, college. Now you're in the pros. Like, this is not, you have to cross the goal line with the ball. This is just simple thing. I really don't understand this whole thing. I mean, it's now happened 2 weeks in a row. It happened 2 or 3 times last year as well. I mean, this is just a phenomenon that I just don't understand. Like, it's really simple that you have to have the ball in your possession when you cross the goal line. These guys are worried about celebrating way more than they should. You can't celebrate if you don't score. So shifting the ball in your hands to raise it up over your head, why? Flicking it down? Like, why? Why are you doing that? Just carry it off. Carry it into the end zone. Run a couple of steps into the end zone. When you're that open as Demercado was, just run the damn ball all the way into the end zone, out of the back of it, and then drop it. Like, he's running so fast, it would have only been 3 or 4 more steps and he would have been out of the end zone anyway. Like, if I was coaching that team, both of those guys, Mitchell would have been cut and Demercado would have been cut if I'm the head coach of that team. Like, there's just no excuse for that at this level. There's no excuse for that. That is really something. That is football 101. That is something they teach you on day 1 of your first Pee Wee football practice when you're a little kid. Like, this is something, this guy's been playing this game for 20 plus years at this point, I'm sure. They should know better. I'm sorry I'm ranting. It's cost them games. Every time that this has happened, it's cost the game. The emotional swing of, oh yeah, we're getting a touchdown, we're going to win, to what the bleep? Why is this keep happening? I really hope we don't see this anymore this year. This is really, and really, you should be cut. You should be cut. Go watch Walter Payton, go watch Emmitt Smith. They would hand the ball to the ref after the touchdown, after the refs had their hands up. They'd go over, politely hand them the ball, and then go celebrate with their teammates. do that. Stop this pre-celebration BS. Stop, you can't celebrate if you didn't score. And you can only score once you cross the goal line with the ball in solid possession. So let's cut this out, NFL players. I know no one's watching this, but I just can't. I'm beside myself seeing this happen over and over again. I was shocked. I was watching that game. I was shocked when I saw that happen. So I can keep ranting on this, but I'm just saying the same thing at this point. So hold the ball till you get into the end zone, then put it down. Hand it off to the ref, and then walk to the sideline. Or better yet, take the ball with you, go all the way to the bench, sit down, and hand it to the ball boy when you're at the bench. Like don't even spike it. Don't take any chances. No one take any more chances. Just hold the damn ball till you get back to the bench. That's what you should do. That made me sweaty. That whole thing. I got all worked up. I don't get it. All right, enough negative. I got to calm down. I'm sweating here. Let's look ahead to week 6. Eagles and the Giants play on Thursday night. Saquon Barkley's a little banged up. He hasn't practiced so far this week. Most likely just keeping him rest on a short week. As good as he is, I think he could, miss some practices, just get his bumps and bruises taken care of. These guys, Eagles are 4-1, coming off a tough loss last week. Giants had built all that momentum in week 4, and now in week 5 they lose a game that they really, honestly, they should have won. They should have beat the Saints. They opened that game up going up 14-0, and then they laid an egg the rest of the way. Definitely need to see Dart rebound and cut down on the turnovers. Cam Scatterbo, he's got a hold on to the ball, and don't worry so much about the gloves. Cam, just hold the damn ball with both hands. These guys, as we've been talking about on this podcast, the defensive players in this league are getting amazing at punching this ball out. Every game, there are 2, 3, 4 times that this happens. And it's starting to become a concern. If you are an offensive player, you need to go back to the drawing board and figure out how to hold on the ball, because these guys are coming. They're punching hard. Kyron Williams learned all about it last week when he got punched in the head and then punched in the ball, and the game-winning touchdown was taken away because he fumbled on the 1-yard line. It's happened all last week in almost every single game. I don't even have to mention examples. You could probably look at every game and see that that's happening. Trevor Lawrence found out when he tried to reach over the goal line and score. He put it out there and it got punched out of his hand. Not a touchdown. Lose the ball. Chiefs get the ball. Ball security seems to be a big issue for the offensive players this year. I mean, there was even a play last week where the defense got the ball, got a takeaway. They fumbled, and then the offense recovered it. There was just craziness going on. The Chiefs are going to be interesting to watch this week because they really needed to win that game against the Jaguars on Monday night. But the Jaguars now 4-1, looking pretty good. They're going to be an interesting team to watch going forward. I want to see how they progress. Their rookie head coach, Liam Cohen, starting to feel it. The team is starting to believe it. Brian Thomas Jr. still not doing much, even though he did have a big catch during that game-winning drive they had on Monday night. I'm still waiting to see signs of life from him and signs of the player he was at the end of last season. Trevor Lawrence probably had the best game of his career in that win over the Chiefs. So it'll be interesting to see how they follow it up. Like, did they expend all this emotion on Monday night and now Sunday they're going to be and have a letdown, which often happens? I'll be interested to see that in their game. The Commanders got Jaden Daniels back last week, and they looked so good against the Chargers. It'll be interesting to see this week if they can carry that forward. And also, when they start to get Terry McLaurin back, that's something to look out for. I mean, it's on the horizon. He may play this week. I'm reading things. We'll see how that goes. The Commanders running back Krosky Merritt had a big game. He looks to maybe be the RB1 right now. They're definitely looking for that. He went over 100 yards last week, so I'll be interested to see if Krosky Merritt can have the same success against the Bears on Monday night as he did last week. It would be good to have a balance. Jaden Daniels definitely looked more like Jaden Daniels for the first time this year. Those 2 weeks off did him well. They're going to be playing Chicago on Monday night, and it'll be interesting to see. That could be a good game. The Chiefs, as I said, they lost a tough one to the Jaguars. I'm a little worried. I heard Pat Mahomes say they've already lost too many games this year. They've already lost more games than they lost last year in the regular season. So they're playing the Lions, who are playing really well. That's going to be a really tough matchup for them. I mean, they need some help. I still don't think they're running the ball enough. Kansas City, I mean. They're going to need Rashee Rice to come back next week and hope he can help. Even though they lost that game against Jacksonville, their offense looked more like them. They had Hollywood Brown and Worthy were making plays, and Travis Kelce was good. But again, they're still not running the ball. Their defense looks a little confused. The Jaguars had takeaways again. You know, the Jaguars have been the best at taking the ball away all year, and they did it again on Monday night. So the Chiefs are going up against the Lions. That's not looking a lot better for them. The Lions defense really gets after the quarterback. So although they have some cornerback issues in Detroit this week, but this is going to be a tough game for the Chiefs. If they lose another one, we got to put them in the same category as the Ravens and start hitting the panic button, because these are teams we thought were shoo-ins for the playoffs. And I don't know. It's getting late early, as the saying goes, for the Ravens and the Chiefs if they don't get it together. And we'll throw the Bengals in there too. If Joe Flacco can't lead them to a win against the Packers, the Bengals got to look into the mirror and start seeing what they can do to change things. The Bucks and 49ers, I mean, I already said Tampa Bay's the team to watch. It's must-see TV. So both of those teams are 4-1. I think Coach Shanahan of the 49ers right now, if the season was to end today, is the coach of the year with the job he's doing, dealing with all those injuries. It's starting that some of these guys are starting to come back. So the 49ers, once they get all their pieces in place, it could be good. I think Mac Jones might start another game. Brock Purdy's still dealing with his toe injury. So they're winning. So maybe you don't rush Brock Purdy back since they're able to hold down the fort. Mac Jones is working well in the system, as we discussed last week. So we'll see. I think the Bucks 49ers could be a great game. And again, every Buccaneers game seems to come down to the last minute. The Titans and Raiders. Let's see if the Titans can keep it going. They got one win. The Raiders look a mess. The offensive line for the Raiders is not good. They're having trouble running the ball. I mean, what Ashton Genty is doing the last few weeks seems like on his own effort. Geno Smith is running for his life. I mean, Kenny Pickett's sitting back there. Do we got to start thinking like, hey, maybe let's give Kenny Pickett a try here, because Geno Smith's not getting the ball to his wide receivers. Brock Bowers is probably going to miss the game again this week. The way it looks right now, he hasn't practiced, which again, at 1-4, if I'm Brock Bowers, listen, Brock, take your time, get your knee right, and come back when you're 100%. Because right now at 1-4, you're not a playoff team. You're not even in the picture. You're not even in the conversation. Don't rush back. And I hope that the doctors and coaches are also thinking long term, like they're going to need Brock Bowers. Playing this week against the Titans, probably not the best thing. So I'd like to see if Cam Ward and the Titans can win their second game of the year. And the way the Raiders have been playing, I don't see why they shouldn't. The Steelers had the week off last week, so they're going to play the Browns. Dylan Gabriel's going to get a second game. The Steelers defense is kind of tough, so it'll be interesting to see how Gabriel does against their pass rush. And it'll be interesting to see how Aaron Rodgers does against the Browns pass rush, which is, amazing. I mean, the Browns defense is really one of the best in the league. Their offense, they need to get it together. I guess if you're a Shedeur Sanders fan, that watch is on now, because he's now one play away, because he is now the quarterback too. And does it happen this week if Dylan Gabriel throws a couple of interceptions or fumbles? Did the chants start, for Shedeur Sanders? Does that controversy happen? That's going to be something I'm going to be interested to watch the next couple of weeks. The Dolphins, that tough loss against Carolina, now going against the Chargers, who lost 2 in a row and really need to get their act together. They lost Omarion Hampton. They've got like no running backs right now. So if I'm the Dolphins, I'm sending everything after Justin Herbert because he's going to be throwing the ball more than anything. The running backs they have, there's nobody you've ever heard of. And I don't see how they can depend on that. They've got a banged up offensive line as well, so run blocking is a problem. The Dolphins, Mike McDaniel, I think the Mike McDaniel getting fired watch is on. He stumbles and bumbles through all of his post-game press conferences. He really looks confused. I don't know if it's a thing. I don't know if he's doing it on purpose, trying to be cute or funny. He thinks it's funny. I don't know if I'm a Dolphins fan and I'm watching him stumble through every press conference looking for answers, doesn't have words to even speak complete sentences. I think the guy he's just confused at what's going on, and he just doesn't I don't think he knows what to do at this point. I mean, they should have won that game in Carolina. That was a tough loss. Turnovers again. Turnovers are a problem. Turnovers. Jaguars and Seahawks, that should be a solid game this week. The Jaguars are 4-1. The Seahawks are 3-2, but that was a super close game. They only lost by a field goal last week, so the Seahawks are a solid team. They can run the ball. They're passing the ball well. Sam Darnold, Jackson Smith, and Jigba doing well. They've got 2 good running backs in Seattle. Their defense seems pretty solid, although they did give up 38 points last week. So, got to watch that. But that should be a good game. I mean, if the Jaguars go to 5-1, like, hey, Jacksonville, you've got something going on down there. Their defense is crazy good. They seem to take the ball away 2, 3, 4 times a game every week. I think the least amount of takeaways they've had in a game is 3 this year. So defense wins championships, as they say, right? So lots of exciting things to look forward to this week. I'm interested to see how the Colts do. Again, another team that, people talked about were going to be good in the offseason, but they're looking a lot better than even I expected or anyone. And again, I'll have to say, just being someone who's watched Daniel Jones play for the Giants for all these years, I really didn't think he had it in him. And I'll keep apologizing to him and keep being surprised every week because it's just not what I saw. It's not what I saw for all the years he was in New York. So let's see how the Colts do this week. The Cardinals are banged up. Again, Kyler Murray might not play. If that happens, I think the Colts should probably win that game. But we'll see how that goes. I mean, every week you think one thing's going to happen and another thing's going to happen. I didn't think the Cardinals were going to lose last week. Maybe the Cardinals can turn the table on them. And, that Titans loss, that was tough. That's the kind of thing that like messes with your head for the rest of the year. Like that's a game you really shouldn't lose. The Cardinals shouldn't have lost that game last week. And now they got the Colts. This is going to be a tough game for the Cardinals, especially if there's no Kyler Murray. Cowboys and the Panthers. Rico Dowdell called out the Cowboys after the game, said, buckle up, get ready. He's got a grudge. I don't think he liked the way his exit went in Dallas. Their defense, as we've talked about over and over again, not good. Although they are starting to show signs of life, winning last week. It'll be interesting because the Panthers, they can be exciting, and if they can start running the ball with Dowdell, like they'll get some balance on their offense, and the Cowboys not good at stopping the run, so it could be a recipe for disaster, another revenge game. Maybe he can put up numbers on the Cowboys. Dowdell can put up numbers on the Cowboys the way Diggs put up numbers on the Bills. The last game I want to talk about is the Jets and the Broncos in London. Maybe the Jets can get a win in another country because they can't win in America. Don't forget that game is going to start early. If you're playing fantasy football and you have players on either of those teams, make sure your lineups are set before 9:30. You don't want to be caught with a guy who wound up not playing in your lineup, as some of the people in my league did the last couple of weeks. The Broncos are 3-2. They looked good last week. The Jets look good in the last quarter of that game, but are still 0-5. Garrett Wilson, another Ohio State receiver, had a great game last week. He's clearly a must start if he's on your fantasy team. I think Justin Fields and Wilson can get some stuff going. Breece Hall's got to hold on to the damn ball. His fumble really cost them last week. I mean, so many turnovers for the Jets. It was so bad last week. Maybe getting out of the country and going to London, maybe the change of scenery can help them get Aaron Glenn his first win. But the Broncos are starting to figure things out. They're running the ball. They're passing. Bo Nix is looking like Bo Nix of last year. Now, he's, again, as I said, the first 4 weeks of the season, the way these guys don't play in the preseason, it takes 4 weeks to get them into game shape. And now we're starting to see players who were good starting to be good again. And Bo Nix is one of those guys. So Broncos Jets early Sunday morning. Interested to see that. For Aaron Glenn's sake, I'd like them to get a win. They're the only team in the league without a win. There are no undefeated teams anymore, and we only have one team without a victory, and that's the Jets. So even though I'm a Patriot fan, I'm going to root for the Jets this week against the Broncos, because just for Aaron Glenn's sake, and I'm a big Justin Fields fan, I would like to see them get that win and do well and get that off their back. And I don't know how the rest of the season's going to turn out for them, but right now they're clearly in a rebuilding mode. It's similar to the way the Lions, and when Dan Campbell came in, they started out bad, and then eventually when they changed the culture and got the right type of people in there, the team got better. I think the Jets have good players at key spots on offense. Their defense is looking questionable at this point. I'm not sure why. I don't know if it's a scheme they're running, players, all of it. We'll see. I mean, it's a big game for them Sunday. 0-6 in the New York media. As a New Yorker growing up in New York, it's going to be ugly on the talk shows and the game and the sports shows and the radio call-in shows and the back page of the Post and the Daily News. So I really hope for their sake they get a win. Just so they can come back home. I think people might meet them at the airport if they go. They're 0-6. It will be ugly in New York if the Jets don't win this week. But hopefully you're as excited about Week 6 as I am. Let's hope for some exciting games. Let's hope to avoid any major injuries. Please, please. It's no fun when the best players in the league go down. And hey, every player going in for a touchdown, the last thing I want to say, every player going in for a touchdown, hold on to the ball with both hands until you cross into the end zone and then walk it over and hand it to the ref. Or take that ball all the way with you back to the bench and then drop it. No more of these drop balls on your way into the end zone that are costing your team games. That is something that must stop. 2 weeks in a row, that's another thing I don't want to see this week. So hold the damn ball, both hands, and then wait for the refs to put their arms up and announce touchdown. Then get rid of the ball. Okay? Let's do that. Football 101. That's it for me. I've talked enough. I'm not even sure I made sense in anything, but I do appreciate you watching. I do appreciate you clicking and checking in, and I'm truly thrilled that people are checking out these clips. We will see you in the next video. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up if you like what you hear. Don't forget to subscribe so you can catch the next podcast when it comes out. Enjoy Week 6. I know I will. I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.